Hello everyone, it's Friday, so it's time for another Friday read. And this week was quite chill, like I didn't do much. And there was also new measures that are starting to slowly open the lockdown, which is good. None of the measures really affect me personally, but it's good that we are getting into that point in which we can start opening things again a little bit. And but as I said, it didn't affect me, so I read a lot this week. And let's just get into it, right? The first thing I finished is The Confessions of Frannie Langton by Sara. I was reading this last week already. And this is basically the story of this black woman that was a slave when she was young, and then when she was free, she decided to go to the UK and work as a maid for a family, and things happen in that family, basically. I thought that the mystery was interesting and the topics that she raised were also interesting, but I don't think that it was particularly satisfying by the end. This one was okay for me. I enjoyed it, but I finished it a week ago and I have already fuzzy memories of it, so it's not one that's staying with me, unfortunately. I finished the book I was reading in audio for the BookTube prize, which I cannot talk about, so I'm just mentioning it, that I have already read 4 books for the BookTube prize at this point, which is good because it means that I only have 2 left for next month, and they are not the tomes of the ones that I had to read, so I'm happy with that. Then on the last weekend, I did my Colombia reading for the Invisible Cities project, and I read 2 books. I'm going to upload a vlog for it soon, but for your information, they are El prestigio de la belleza by Piedad Bonett and Fish Soup by Margarita Garcia Robayo. So El prestigio de la belleza is about this girl that grew up thinking that she was ugly and how that affected her life. It's a coming of age story, which I thought it was going to go farther than it went. We followed this girl since she was little until she was like 13 or 14, and I thought it was going to go all the way to adulthood, but it didn't. And it's the topics that it touched were interesting. It was a little bit on the same topics as The Bluest Sky by Toni Morrison, but it's nothing like that book. I think it's a lot less deep in a way. It was okay. It didn't do anything completely wrong, but I feel like the story was not. It didn't have enough elements to be that interesting for me. Also, I read it in Spanish, and I feel like Spanish tends to be a language in which people write very convoluted sentences and style of writing, like unnecessarily flourish. And I felt that in that book as well. So that one was not the greatest. And then the other one that I read for Colombia was Fish Soup. And Fish Soup is a collection of 2 novellas and a bunch of short stories. And I'm not the biggest fan of short stories, so I was not expecting to absolutely love this, and I didn't. But I liked it. I liked it quite a lot, especially the 2 novellas, I think, were interesting. And the stories were mainly about a lot of also growing up, but also as an adult discovering who you are and coming to an identity. There were a lot of topics like that. So I liked that one. The writing was a little bit more direct, a lot more direct, and I liked that quite a lot. And the stories were interesting. I just wanted more from each character rather than having a lot of stories, which it's not the fault of the book. It's my fault for wanting short stories to be a complete novel. But yeah. And then the next book I finished was Songs of Enchantment by Ben Okri, and this one is the second one of the Famished Road trilogy, however that is called. Yeah, basically it's the story of Azaro, who is a little boy in, assuming Nigeria. It's never mentioned, but it is an African country and the author is Nigerian, so I'm assuming it's Nigeria. And in the first book, we followed his dilemma of being on Earth or being in the spirits world, because he has a lot of connections with the spirits world, but also a lot about politics and corruption, because his dad, they are poor and his dad wants to run for politician so that he can fix that. And in this book, that was still present. I was not expecting for some reason that it was going to continue as much in like right when the first book finished, but it does, which is fine. I like that. And this book is also a lot more grounded in the spirits world, and we got some explanations about how that works a little bit better. And I really liked it. I thought it was quite interesting. It explores some of the same topics as the first one, which I also really like. So I was happy to continue with those characters in that story. And now I just have to read the third one. But yeah, I quite like that one. I cannot tell you much about the story because it's the second in the series, so I don't want to spoil anyone that wants to read it. But yeah, I would recommend that series. It's quite interesting. And then the last one I finished yesterday night actually, because I had my book club yesterday night, so I finished it like a couple of hours before the book club, and that is Anxious People by Frederik Backman. And this is an interesting one because on the surface it feels like a very fluffy, feel-good book, which is it is. It's the kind of book that Frederik Backman writes, but it's not just that. It has a lot of topics that I find really interesting about identity and like prejudices that people have about certain identities. It focuses mostly in gender, not so much in race, but yeah, like it at the end of the day, it's about prejudices and also expectations that one sets for themselves. And yeah, I thought it was really nice. The writing is also good, and the only thing I would say is that it's a bit of a mystery because I didn't say even what it is about, but it's about this bank robber who goes into the bank and tries to steal some money to pay rent, and then they call the police, so the bank robber has to run away into the upstairs apartment, which was having a viewing of the apartment. So it accidentally becomes this hostage situation in which the bank robber is trapped with all these people from the viewing, and they are there for many hours. But the bank robber is not really violent. It's not like a violent, scary situation. So we see how these people interact with each other, and we get the backstory of all these people, and it's really interesting. It's quite plotty. It has a lot of turns. I have to say that sometimes it did like red herring, and then the plot continues like, oh no, it's not like that, immediately after. So it leads you one way and then it takes you away very fast, which I found a little bit annoying at times. That's the only big criticism I have of it. But yeah, overall I quite liked it. I think all of the people in the book club really liked it. And it is one that I think, you know, when you're in lockdown and you want something a little bit lighter that is not depressing, you can go to Frederik Backman books because they are fluffy and comforting without being stereotypical. So yeah, I like that one. I think it's the right thing to have in the middle of a lockdown. So yeah. So yeah, those are all of the things that I have been reading. I am in the middle of two books at the moment. The first one is Down and Out in Paris and London by George Orwell, and this was my reread for February. I'm only like 20 pages in. I started this yesterday night, but I am excited for it. I was in those 20 pages. I remember how much I appreciate George Orwell's writing. Not only because I normally remember his stories and his political stance, but I didn't remember the writing is also nice. So yeah, I'm planning to finish this during the weekend because I have plans for the weekend. So I'm probably not going to be reading a whole lot, but this is like 200 pages and it's physical, which it's nice because I haven't written so many ebooks. So yeah, I'm planning to do this during the weekend. And the other one that I am currently reading is Wilding by Isabella Tree, which is I'm doing in audio. And this one is about Isabella Tree and her husband, who decided that they were going to convert their farm into a wild space. They were just going to let nature do its thing. They were not going to try to remove dead animals or dead trees. They were not going to weed the place. They would just put some introduce new species there that were originally from there and just let it do its thing. And I thought it was going to be a kind of a memoir, and it partly is, but it's a lot more scientific than that. I think it's more like the history of that farm in a way. And of course, it has parts in which they talk about their feelings and their struggles, but it also has so much science in it and so many facts about wilding or rewilding and different projects around the world that are doing that. And I'm really appreciating that because I'm learning a lot, and I didn't know that the Netherlands was doing that quite strongly. But I have looked it up since then, and I found more about the projects. Apparently, it's the first place where they have reintroduced the European bison. So there's some bison somewhere in the Netherlands, which I didn't know because I mean the Netherlands, if you live in a city especially, feels like one of the least wild places on earth because it was reclaimed land from the sea. So the beach is a straight line and the forests that are around me are mostly like planted trees, and you can feel that because they are at exactly a certain distance from each other and things like that. And so in that sense I feel like the Netherlands would be the last place I would expect for it to be wild, and apparently it's very strongly into these rewilding projects, and also because the Netherlands doesn't have that much land for the amount of people they have. So yeah, I was really interested on that, and maybe I will look up if it can be visited, like all those parks. Not now, probably because of COVID, but maybe in a year or two we can go and see the bisons in Europe, which will be interesting because I have only associated bisons with the US so far. But yeah, that is really interesting. So yeah, I'm enjoying that. But yeah, those are the ones that I have been reading. What I am planning to read once I finish those, which will probably be over the weekend, it's March. Next week is March already. It's gonna be a year since the pandemic hit Europe, and we will see how it goes. But yeah, anyway, the things that I'm planning to read, I'm planning to continue with my book to prize reading. Hopefully I will finish another one next week. If not, the 2 that I have left. That would be kind of nice. And the other thing that I'm planning to be reading is The Wizard of the Crow by Ngugi. This is my reread. Actually, I'm not going to pick up a new reread this month because this is what I'm rereading, and it's kind of big. And we are also doing a read along for this. I'll link the video where I announced the read along down below on the Discord if you want to join still. That would be great. I'm also planning to do a few videos about related to this book, not directly, but so to give it some context and stuff. So if you're interested, look out for those. But yeah, basically this one is a satire of I would say Kenyan politics, although it's technically set up in this imaginary country. But yeah, it's a satire of how the power struggles work in countries like Kenya. And it's probably my favorite book, and I love it, so I'm excited for it. We are reading it slowly, we are reading it throughout March, and I think that I'm organizing this and I still don't know exactly what I'm supposed to be reading. I'll figure that out at some point. But I think we're supposed to be reading the first section on the first week of March. So I think that's what I will do. And I'm super excited to get started on this. I have been wanting to reread it for years now. So yeah, that is all for me now. You will see if I manage to read all of those things by next week, and let me know if you have thoughts on any of these books that you have read or want to read. Let me know if you're joining us in the read along in the Discord. That will be great. There are super nice people out there, and I'm so thankful for them. So thank you all the people that joined the Discord and it's excited about the read along. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!